But what if we could take the work out of workouts and put the play back into our days? I'm sharing why it matters for your health and the science to back it up. Let's reinvent recess. We experience 1,000 waking minutes on average every day. How are you spending yours? I'm Dr. Wendy Bazilian, and you're listening to 1,000 Waking Minutes. I can't wait to connect with you here with practical ways to eat well, move daily, and be healthy, to optimize every waking minute you live for a happier, healthier life. Thank you for sharing some of your waking minutes with me today. Let's get started.
I'm saying yes to better days, yes. I'm on my way, yes. It's gonna be okay, yeah.
Good day to you, and welcome back to 1,000 Waking Minutes, the podcast where we explore how to make the most of our days into weeks, into months, into time for a healthy, well-lived life by evaluating our waking minutes each day. I'm Dr. Wendy Bazilian, and today we're talking about something I think you're going to love, especially if you've ever found yourself sort of longing for the simple, more playful days of youth. So let me ask you a question. When was the last time you thought about recess? You know, the magical, whimsical minutes in the middle of our school days back on the playground. I bet you can picture it. I can still hear the sounds of my own playground, the squeal of my classmates, the squeak of chains on our playground equipment. And I am fortunate because where I live, actually, when the wind turns a certain direction, we have an elementary school down the hill from us a little bit in the distance, and I can hear the playground there. So I get the real live exposure as well as with my daughter in her school. So do you remember the sounds? Think about it. Maybe you can hear the slap of jump ropes on the pavement or the thunk of that kickball. We always had those red, super bouncy kickballs, and when someone would connect with it, you could hear sort of that boing type of sound. All the cool things on the monkey bars and sort of people just enthusiastically exclaiming and jumping and having fun. Really, it was like hearing the feeling of freedom that came with recess. But somewhere along the way, many of us lost the sense of play in that free-spirited way, that release of unstructured playtime, maybe. And as adults, we have replaced recess with routine, and we've swapped playtime for productivity. And when it comes to movement or exercise, we even call it a workout. Have you ever thought about that? Think about that for a moment. We put the word work into our movement and exercise. So today I want to rethink all of that. We're going to explore how to take the work out of workouts and bring the play back into our everyday and into some of those waking minutes. Because let's be honest, playing hard sounds a lot more fun than working hard. I hope you agree. So grab a seat or actually go skip outside with your earbuds on and get ready to move, both in our mind back to a time of recess as we start reinventing recess together for our lives today. So let me share a little bit about what got me thinking about this idea for an episode, but also the idea of recess for grown-ups. Almost every week, unless I'm traveling on business on that particular day, and I do try to schedule my travel so it doesn't intersect with this, but I volunteer at my daughter's PE class. It's not called gym there anymore. I don't know if you've gotten the memo, but at our school, it's PE. And in fact, my daughter didn't know what PE stood for until recently, when we talked about physical exercise was the acronym. And my time there is one of the absolute highlights of my week. Watching the kids just dive into movement, whether it's running around, They're sort of gregarious play. They're playing various versions of tag that we did when we were growing up, called Sharks and Minnows, or Halloween-themed ones where it's witches and goblins chasing around with a pool noodle. Only shoulders are lower as the tagging instrument. Learning about tossing a ball properly. You step, you swing, you toss, or bean bags, of course. And doing partner skills. I think last week we did hula hoops and soccer balls. It's so much fun. It's a lot of joy. It's certainly some chaos. And I really adore Coach Weiss, our PE coach, who has been at the school for 8 years already. Apparently, I have earned the distinction of his first volunteer ever. And I earned my way in by celebrating the fact that I could jump rope, I could wipe noses, I could help wrangle and demonstrate. Into probably 1 month into volunteering, I also shared that I'm certified in CPR and also an exercise physiologist, but didn't lead with that. I just wanted to be a mom volunteering for PE. But Coach Weiss, he is a tremendous teacher. He has to be, as you can imagine, a very good wrangler, and he's an all-around good sport, literally. The one thing, though, that I've noticed is that the children are not thinking about the calories they're burning or the muscle groups that they're targeting. And should this cause concern? No, indeed, it should not, of course. You were probably going with, like, what is she thinking about? They are doing the same things we're doing when we're out there exercising or getting a workout, but they're not translating it in the least to these things that we think about on a regular basis when it comes to exercise meets health. They're practicing coordination, they're practicing balance, they're doing aerobic activity, they're engaging different muscle groups, and they're moving. And they're moving just because it's fun. In fact, they separate the idea of being tired from I want to run a lap. That's something that always fascinates me. They say, oh, I'm so tired, Coach Weiss. And then they want to take a break and say, can I run a lap? It just gives me the giggles, and it's so much fun. So this is something I think we as adults need to relearn and reconcile. I mean, when did movement become so serious? So playing has always been a part of my life, I'm happy to say, though I get crushed with deadlines and I work funny hours, and sometimes I need to be reminded. But I have built in a system of reminders, some of them visual, in our household. It's sort of woven into our daily routines. And in part, yes, it's because I have a young child. But even before my daughter was born, we have had a Nerf basketball hoop mounted much too high for any child to receive whatever we feel like we want to toss in it on a given moment. It might be the Nerf basketball. It might be a wad of paper, harking back to the days of high school and before, when we've always liked to do that, to sink the basket with that wad of paper. Sometimes it's our clothing, our laundry about to go into the hoop. But whatever it is, we keep that front and center. We have a jump rope hanging by the door. I think we actually have 2 hanging on a hook where we hang our backpacks and jackets. And we even have a bingo cage that comes in periodically and sort of comes in and out of the flow of the regular time. This is because we actually have been serious bingo callers. This dates back a while and maybe a topic for another episode to bring in this story. But we used to lead bingo with the Bazilians, and we became pretty serious. It was a pretty serious gig for us. And during the pandemic, we had to be creative, like we all had to be. We didn't know what to expect at the beginning. And certainly we could go outside, and we live in Southern California, so we were able to access some of that. But playgrounds were off limits for a time. So we were limited to our own outdoors. So that's where we brought a bucket swing indoors so that we could use it at other hours as well. In fact, we hung it on one of the strong beams in our house in our living room. So we still have the hooks up, and periodically we still bring back in the things you can hang in our living room. So we wanted to create fun and play outdoors and in. But it's not just our home. Years ago, when I lived in Brazil, for a short time, several months. I was doing my master's thesis research down in Northeast Brazil. I discovered that playfulness is actually built in to the way of life in that area. And I would argue probably all over that region. We would visit friends and there was always games. And sort of like we do have maybe family game night, and some families or individuals are building in play. So I encourage you to write in or to share your stories if you're doing that. But really, the version of movie night or getting together for dinner or something almost always included some kind of play. And I know that this happens here in the US sometimes, but it's certainly not the norm unless we make it so. So anyway, I have a lot of memories, but one really popped up in particular when I was thinking about today and sitting down here for talking about recess. And it was one that occurred during a time when Jason, who was my boyfriend at the time of many years already, but now 25 plus years, my spouse, he came down for a visit while I was doing my research. And we spent a weekend at a little beach bungalow, a little beach cottage of our friends. And all of us stayed there. We were sleeping in various places. It was probably around 10 of us. And down in that area, everything was really simple. You really spread out wherever you could find a space. And one of the coolest things that I loved about, and I think I've seen it in other places in Brazil as well, but almost every room had some built-in hooks that you could then hook up a hammock to sleep in if you wanted to, or rest, or have leisure time, whatever it was. And so we would all sort of distribute ourselves across a number of different bedrooms and hook up our hammock, and maybe there was a bed or two in the room as well. And this was very typical. And whether it was a simple or a fancy home, they had these hooks. Well, I recall one night after we had like this wonderful night, and it was games, and we were drinking caipirinhas, maybe a one too many, and we finally retired into the wee morning hours. I remember waking up in my hammock to a like plunk, 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 giggle, giggle, laugh, laugh, pause. Plunk, plunk, giggle, giggle, laugh, laugh, pause. And I looked over to Jason, who was like also waking up in his hammock, hanging in the room, and we started laughing. Of course, my friends were out there. Barely sunrise had come, and they were playing paddleball out on the patio, and they were just having the best time. Bedhead didn't matter, sun up, however they were feeling, they were doing it just for the sheer joy of it. And that attitude really stuck. This is a number of years ago, making play an everyday part of life. And I only need to sort of dip into my memory to sort of re-engage that and bring it in. It was just the natural impulse to roll out of bed for the whole culture, basically, what I saw. And I hate to generalize, but if I'm going to make a generalization, this is a really positive one. I want to generalize about what I experienced with the Brazilian culture. There was always a soccer ball being kicked around. There were always people, if the spirit moved them, getting up and dancing. They didn't have to go to a dance space. They would just stand in their chair and get up. Or even practicing capoeira, which is a form of martial arts that I took up, which is actually a martial arts, a sport. It was always festive and play-like and had music and dance associated with it. So it's something that I brought forward and I wanted to pass along to my daughter, and I hope I'm doing a good job of that. And I want to pass a little along of that to you as well. Because here's the thing, movement doesn't have to be about achieving a goal or ticking off a box like you got the workout in today. It can be uniquely and unto itself about finding joy in the moment. And that's what recess really is all about. It's like sort of stepping out of the grind for the moment. Think about how recess was that break in school. And it's not a grind, but it's stepping out of the more serious learning, the mental engagement into our bodies. It's letting go of the shoulds, and it's just playing. So today, I'm going to borrow a little bit of this Brazilian spirit, a little bit of the childhood wonder, and talk about why bringing recess back isn't just fun, it's necessary for our health and such a great way to spend some of our waking minutes, most, if not every day. All right, let's talk about the rewards of bringing a little recess back into our adult lives. Because while the main goal is play for the sheer joy of it, the benefits of these small playful movements are backed by science and may really resonate with you moving forward. So here's what you stand to gain by embracing your inner 8-year-old. First of all, quick bursts of exercise add up. So even short bursts of activity can have a big impact. Research has shown that just 10 minutes of moderate movement each day can help prevent obesity and reduce the risk of chronic diseases. And this is for kids and adults alike. In the short time, you can burn, say, an extra 50 calories a day, which could add up to about 5 pounds of weight loss each year. That's just a few minutes added to the day doing something that's fun. Benefit number 2, to feel good and to reduce stress. So connecting with childhood activities can decrease stress, and movement can help release the feel-good chemicals like endorphins, the ones that are actually pain relieving and actually can help comfort and bathe us in a feeling of joy. And those feel-good hormones are called that for a reason. You add in a little bit of laughter and some smiles, and you get even a bigger boost. In fact, you get a boost of serotonin as well, which is a natural stress reliever that can promote a sense of calm and promote positivity. So this means a more calm, a more fun maybe, and a more positive you. Number 3, better concentration. And couldn't we all use a little more of that? Recess has shown to improve concentration in school children. And for adults, revisiting our childhood activities can both help with our brain memory and our muscle memory, helping our mind stay sharp and focus. So when we remember things like riding a bike, as easy as getting back on and riding a bike. If you learned it once, you probably still know how. Or reaching for the sky on a swing set, the motions. Our bodies will respond with familiarity, right? And the skills that we learned earlier in life. And it translates to our ability to focus and have better concentration. Benefit 4, it all counts. Every bit of movement is exercise, ultimately. Every bit of movement adds up. So we tend to think in like an all or nothing approach. Instead of giving credit for everything we do, we say, oh, I didn't get my 30 minutes in today, or I didn't get to the gym, or, oh, I did do my quote workout and it's something structured. Will you win a marathon by doing recess exercises? No, maybe not. But life really isn't all about extreme efforts, is it? It's about steady, meaningful inputs that are sort of marathon-like, and it enhances our quality of life. And it is, in a way, like an endurance race. It's the little daily inputs that have the longest positive impact. And it's not just about living long here. It's about living long well. And next benefit, finally, is, fun. It turns out that fun is good for you. I'm glad to report. So playing doesn't just feel good, it's good for you. Engaging in activities that spark joy and bring smiles allows us to tap areas of our brain and body that help us ultimately feel more creative, more energetic, more productive, and more confident. These are all qualities of a healthy mind and body, and it just feels so good. And fun equals good. Now let's take a moment for our mindful minute together. This is your chance to pause, breathe, and reconnect. Not just with the present today, which I want you to do, but with a memory that makes you smile. I'll set you up, we'll take the minute together, and then we'll reflect. This is a perfect time to reset, recharge, and today we'll even bring a little play into our mind. Start by closing your eyes, if you're not walking or driving, of course, or just sort of tilt them down at about a natural gaze at about 45 degrees downward, and relax and start some natural breathing. Picture your favorite playground from when you were a kid. Take yourself back to some playground. It could have been at school, it could have been a park, it could have been your backyard. What did it look like? Maybe there was a towering slide. I remember a few that were metal and got very hot in the summertime myself. Or maybe a swing set that had a rhythmic creak that you recall or wobbled as you tried to launch up to the moon. Or maybe it was the monkey bars, that you would swing across, or as we sometimes manage to do, I don't think I could do it now, climb on top of the monkey bars and feel like you're literally on top of the world looking out. So let's do one preparatory breath together. Take a slow, deep breath in through the nose and let it out through the mouth. I'll begin the timer. Let's begin. Imagine yourself standing there on the playground. Feel the ground under your feet. Was it gravel? Those rubberized wood chips or actual wood chips? Grass? Concrete? Listen for the sounds, maybe some familiar laughter or the rhythmic creaks of a swing set, the thunk of a familiar ball hitting the pavement. And picture yourself doing something that you loved. Was it the swings when you soared higher and higher? Or balancing on a curb or a beam? Let yourself experience a little bit of that joy and the freedom of play. Take one last deep breath in. Let it out. Okay. That's our mindful minute plus a few seconds. Bring back some of these images you created and feelings you had again during your day or over the course of the days. And perhaps you can capture some of that natural feeling, that cellular and muscle memory, and the physiological feeling that play gave you, and picture it now and again. Thank you for taking this time to reconnect with the sense of playfulness and joy with this. And now we're going to bring the lightness and energy into the rest of our day. And we're going to talk about some practical ways to reinvent recess in your life. Thank you for sharing that mindful minute with me. All right, now that we've reconnected with the joy of recess, let's talk about some practical ways you can bring that energy into your day-to-day life. These tips are all about simplicity and making movement feel more like play and a little less like work. Let's think about rebooting or reinventing recess, and it could even happen like it did with us in your living room. So that's where I'm going to start. Bring recess indoors. You don't need a playground to play. Plenty of recess-style moves can be done in your own home with just your body, and you can even imagine some of the equipment and still have fun. You can even do it while you're watching a TV show or waiting for someone to get ready for something or somewhere to go. So here are just a few, for example, and I have a big long list of these if you want more. Sitting swings, sitting swing set or swings. So you can sit in your chair and you can mimic the swinging movement by pumping your arms back and forth as you used to on a swing and leaning and rocking gently forward and back, and engage your abs as you do that. The more that you can sort of feel and internalize what it used to feel like on a swing, or better yet, next time you're at a playground, get on one and remind your cells and your muscles what it feels like. But you can actually engage your core, rocking back and forth and feeling a bit of that freedom and movement. It's great for your core, your abs, your posture. And we know that core strength is associated with reducing back pain and lower risk of injuries. So some of these can be really simple, as I mentioned. Another one is monkey bars. Now, I'm not expecting you to install monkey bars into your home, although I do have a couple friends, one who's in Chicago who did just that in her basement. But you can stand or sit and make circular arm movements as if you're reaching forward the bars overhead. And it can help with some shoulder flexibility, some circular motion, sort of lubricating your joints. And when you're seated, it can actually bring some blood flow up to your arms, your hands, and your brain. It can warm you up So the movement is really just mimicking the jungle gym with making circular movements as you crawl across the monkey bars. It's probably a little easier than having to suspend your full weight as well. Another one, seesaws. I'm going to say AKA squats. No one really likes to say the word or do squats except for the very, very intensely engaged athletes and people who really, really love the results that they give. But seesaw movement can be like doing squats. And if squats and lunges make you cringe or just settle back into your chair, think about the way the seesaw engaged your legs. The truth is, pushing up and down from a seated position is a key maneuver that can help prolong a healthy life. There are even studies that support how important it is to be able to do lunges and squats. Think about getting up from a chair or getting up from the floor. So you envision the teeter-totter, the seesaw, while you push up and down with your quads in and out of a chair, squatting and strengthening your legs. Keep it simple. Be mindful and respectful of your own limitations. But leg strength has been tagged as a risk factor for decreased longevity if you don't have it, weak leg strength, quality of life, and increased risk of falls. So that's a good one too. And then I thought I would mention Hokey Pokey because it's a classic song. And if you put your left foot in and your left foot out, you put your left foot in and you shake it all about. I mean, it's silly, but it's so good for balance. Think about balance. It gets the blood flowing. It brings a smile to your face, and it can be done very simply in any location during a commercial break, while dinner is cooking, when you're on hold for maybe those somewhat annoying customer service calls that we all have to deal with. And of course, it makes us smile. There's other ones that go along with this. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes comes to mind, another favorite. And you can certainly expand the list. I have a whole long list, as I mentioned, and happy to share more. Number 2, take it outside. So nothing is as freeing and recess-like as recreating the games of childhood. In the open air, get out there, go to the park if you can. When was the last time you got on a swing? Go do it. Can you hang from a monkey bar anymore? And are you up for the challenge? What about jumping between rocks? Again, carefully, watch your limitations and start slow, or imaginary rocks on the grass. Or playing hopscotch. All you need is some sidewalk chalk, or just invent it with your mind across your path. When the weather allows, step into the great outdoors. It's really such a great environment to make the world your playground, literally. You've probably heard that, make the world your playground. We really should do it. So these are some ways to do it. Also, you can find things like a curb, a low wall, or even just a line along a pathway to walk the line and practice balance and coordination and the sort of heel-toe progression that we're actually doing in PE in my daughter's class. Third, play with your people. The people around you. They can be your family, they can be your friends, they can even be coworkers if you're brave and you have that kind of relationship with them. Your kids, your grandkids, and your furry family as well, pets. Movement is certainly more fun when it's shared. We certainly tend to do more if we're doing it together and we commit to each other. So play some games like cornhole or kickball, or remember croquet. Maybe set out some croquet or make up your own version. Or how about bocce? We played the most fun I remember of bocce. I mean, I couldn't remember playing it in many years, but last Christmas with some dear friends that I had known since childhood down in Florida on Christmas Eve. It was so much fun. You can crab walk. You can do field day type races. You can create mini obstacle courses in your own yard. If you're feeling uninspired for how to do that again, get a child to help set it up if you need, or tap your memories. You'll remember how easy it is and how it didn't take big orchestration to do this. If you have a jump rope, and you can even do this with an imaginary jump rope, but jump rope with a friend, challenge each other how many jumps you can do, or even can you do one anymore and get yourself back up to speed with the jump rope. A friend of mine actually volunteers teaching. She was a jump rope artist, let me call it, and still is. And she teaches youth how to jump rope. So she can probably show off a few tricks, and you can do that with a friend. I can't wait to see her so that she can teach me a few and we can share that together. Next, and this is important when we're talking about our precious waking minutes, schedule recess. Just like in school, schedule a recess break in your day. This one gets to our time and making time, taking time and prioritizing this for your fun, for your life, and for your health. So even 15 minutes, like I mentioned when we were talking about the benefits, can make a big difference in multiple ways, physical health as well as your mental health. So set a timer if you need to. And this is really your time to disconnect from work and reconnect to movement and joy. This is not work. This is play. And finally, I'd like to add, be spontaneous to the list of tips. Sometimes the best play happens when we sort of just let down our guard and you're not planning it. If you hear a great song, dance. Just dance in your kitchen. You waiting for dinner to cook? Do a few squats or pretend to jump rope. Are you on hold for that call? Obviously, I've had a few of those lately. Stretch or move in a way that feels good so that you're making use of your time and you'll remember it a little bit differently as well. Play doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be fun. And these are just a couple ideas for small moments of movements that can make a big difference to your fun factor, your overall well-being, not just your body, though that one's an important one too. So those are the tips for today. And as we get near the end of this episode, I encourage me to take a moment to reflect together about this idea. What did recess mean to you and us as a child? Was it freedom from the classroom? Was it a chance to laugh with your friends? Or just time to get out of the classroom and move your body and have a little fun and let loose? And now think about your life today. Where can you create a little bit of space for this kind of joy? Is it free-spirited, unstructured, just having fun? Maybe it's a quick dance break between meetings. Maybe it's a walk with a friend, or even 5 minutes of silly movement in your living room, and trying some of these sort of indoor recess activities I mentioned. And let's bring it further by asking, what's one small way you can bring a little recess back into your life this week? One small way, a little recess. I hope that you'll write me about that because I would love, love, love to hear. Take a moment to think about it now or at the end of this episode. And if you're feeling inspired, I'd love for you to share it and your thoughts with me, and I'll share mine in the time ahead. Maybe it's a story from your own childhood and how you can reclaim recess as an adult. I hope you find that joy. So to recap what we've covered today, we started by reminiscing about recess, the joyful, carefree moments that brought movement and fun into our childhood lives as kids. We talked about how as adults, we often lose the sense of play and we put in the idea of exercise as work, the work out. But what if we could turn things around and bring a little play back into our lives and reframe and reword what we're doing? I shared some personal stories, of course, about volunteering at my daughter's school, a little bit of our pandemic-related swing fun in the living room, and also what my experience was with the Brazilian culture during my research living there, and what inspired me really to connect with this and bring it home. I think it was there, if I had to say, that really showed me that play could be part of every day, whether you're a child, adult, no matter where in your life stage, that they're woven into our day. I hope the ROIs or the evidence that I provided gave you the credibility, the validity, and why it's good for your health. It's another good reason to justify its existence as if we need that in boosting focus and memory, in helping reduce stress. And it's backed up by research that small moments and small movements can help. And then we talked practical tips. So I hope that some of those will come into your local park again, into your kitchen, in your living room, and maybe I'll catch you doing a little hopscotch outside with some chalk or just your imagination. So here's your homework for the week. Take 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes for recess. Make it playful, make it fun, and make it yours. And if you do, I'd love to hear about it. Thank you for sharing a few of your waking minutes with me today as we explored the joy of recess coming back into our lives. It means so much to me to have you here, sincerely, part of this journey on this podcast and on this planet. I'm Wendy Bazilian. This is 1000 Waking Minutes. And until next time, have fun and be well. Thank you for tuning in to 1000 Waking Minutes. A huge thank you to our amazing collaborators, including our production and marketing teams, and Gabriela Escalante in particular. To the ultra-talented Beza for my theme music, my lifelong friend and artist, Pearl Price Photography and Design, to Daniel Ballantyne, Jen Nguyen, Joanna Powell, and of course my family, and everyone working tirelessly behind the scenes. And to you, our valued listeners, I so appreciate your support. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider leaving a comment, writing a review, and giving 1000 Waking Minutes, that's us, a 5-star rating. And please hit subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you enjoy your podcasts. Please follow and stay connected at wendybazilian.com. And don't forget to share with your friends. Your support helps us grow and bring you more great content. Until next time, find some simple opportunities to optimize those 1000 waking minutes each day.
I'm saying yes to better days, yes, I'm on